My name is Sam Dhanishekaran and welcome to this video series. In this video, let's take a look at how the computers evolved. Actually, how the information technology and its architecture evolved. The popular architecture during the early stages of using information technology systems in a corporate environment was about having a single powerful computer connected to multiple devices. This single powerful computer was generally a mainframe computer. All the programs are executed in this computer. However, you do not have to sit in front of it to run the programs. Instead, the terminals, which are nothing but essentially a keyboard and a monitor running a piece of inbuilt program called terminal program, are connected to this computer. They are connected using a port called serial port, which is at least a multi-million times slower than your current broadband internet speed at your home. These serial ports are powerful enough to transmit data over long cables. So, it was common in a large company that the mainframe was in a small data center room, while multiple terminals from other rooms and floors were connected to it through long-running cables. These terminals were sometimes referred as dumb terminals, as they cannot do anything on their own. They just connect to the mainframe just to display the content from it. They take inputs from the keyboard and run the programs that reside in the mainframe. That is all. There were probably one or two terminals per department at the max, as opposed to what we are seeing these days, where everyone is provided a computer at their work. These mainframes were very expensive, and not all the businesses were able to afford them. Then, during 70s, personal computers, or PCs, if I may use its acronym, started to revolutionize the information technology industry. Why? These were relatively inexpensive compared to mainframes, commonly available as commodity devices from the stores and malls if needed. So, all of a sudden, a small business could afford to buy a couple of PCs. The executive assistants to senior managements started having a PC at their work, running word processing applications such as WordStar, WordPerfect, or even Microsoft Word. The financing team had a couple of PCs with each running accounting software. The marketing team had a couple of PCs to print marketing materials such as brochures, catalogs, etc. However, these computers were not connected. If someone needs to transfer a file from one computer to another, most probably they would have to copy the files to floppy disks, then take them to the other computer and copy the files. If you are in your 20s now, and now being the year 2020, please Google what is a floppy disk to understand what it is. I could say I'm just kidding, but no, seriously, please Google it. So these were small in size compared to mainframes. A mainframe would occupy a significant amount of space in a data center room, while a personal computer can be put on a desk. And so a PC was also referred as a desktop in those days. Nowadays, desktop is one of the forms that a personal computer come in. Anyway, at some point, even the big businesses started using a hybrid environment containing mainframes and PCs. The dumb terminals continued to use mainframe computer as they did normally. The PCs have been loaded with terminal emulation software which allowed the PCs to interact with mainframes just like a terminal did. The important thing to understand is the PCs were also connected using those slow speed serial cables. These weren't the full-fledged networking as we see now. Soon, the industry started racing in computer networking aspect. Dedicated network interface cards were installed in the PCs. Network cables which can transmit data faster than the serial cables were being installed around the premises. The computers are also installed with certain network protocols which are equivalent to the language that all the computers must use when communicating with each other. And the computer networking began to flourish. All of a sudden, people did not have to use floppy disks to transfer files between two computers. They could use the network to do that. But who controlled the network? Answer is, it depends on the type of the network. Peer-to-peer networking is one of the earliest form of networking concepts. In this, the resources are shared by the individual computers. For example, a computer can make its entire C drive available on the network. Other computers can use that share, which is how a resource being shared in a network is referred, and read or write on it based on the access provided by that computer which is sharing that share. Another computer can share just a folder like this one. Other computers can use that share too. Here, there isn't a centralized control. If the operator of a computer shuts off that computer, then the resources shared by that computer will not be available on the network until the computer is powered back. Then centralized servers came into picture as personal computers started becoming more and more powerful. This was due to the lightning pace at which the processors were becoming more and more powerful. This, along with the cost of storage and memory getting cheaper, enabled even small businesses to afford multiple powerful PCs. So, here the centralized computer contains the resources that were shared across the network. They would share folders or even entire disk drives. Since these shares are from a single powerful computer, it was easy to control from a central location. Since this computer's whole purpose is to serve its resources to the network, it was referred as a server computer or just server. This powerful computer would reside in a well-protected location called data center as opposed to the user computers which would sit either on or under the user's desks. Only the administrators were given physical access to the central server computer. With uninterrupted power supply, also known as UPS, powering these computers, a server computer running 24/7, which is a reference to saying running all the time, became a common thing. Because of that, network sharing became a stable and common environment in 90s. I would say since 90s. The shared resources will be available even if a user computer is turned off. Since these server computers are sharing their resources, the operating systems running in these computers had to be different than the operating systems running in the user computers. So they had to be more powerful, multi-user oriented, as well as highly secured. So these operating systems are called as server operating systems. Unix, Novel Network, Windows NT back in 90s, and now Windows Server OS are and were good examples of server operating systems. The reason I am saying were as in past tense is Novel Network, which revolutionized the PC networking industry, does not exist anymore. So is Windows NT. Well, technically, that name has been discontinued by Microsoft, which was a little bit of a disappointment for me personally, as I was one among the earliest Microsoft certified systems engineers in Windows NT 3.51 as well as Windows NT 4 back in mid-90s. But I also understood that NT, which was an acronym for new technology, cannot be continued to be called as new technology once it got a little bit old. Around that time, the servers were running server operating systems such as Windows Server, Linux, and Unix, while desktops were running the desktop version of Windows OS such as Windows 95 XP 2000 to now Windows 10. However, what about the security of the data? How did IT industry address the need of restricting the access to the data based on who is accessing it? So in the next video, we will talk about that. We will talk about how security was implemented. Thank you for watching.